So to continue this series about what happened 30 years ago when I was a kid compared to what goes on now, let's subject this video about what type of discipline was invoked on us as kids. And I think you're going to find this quite entertaining. First off, we had some rules in life, just like every kid. The street lights outside, when they came on, it was the rule of get your ass home. Not 10 minutes later. Get your ass home now is what it was. Now, if you came in that door 10 minutes later, your father would be sitting there holding on to the belt saying, what took you so long? You know the rule. Why didn't you get your ass home? I was down like 4 blocks. It was a long ways. I don't give a shit if you were down 10 blocks. Put out your hand. And you take the belt across the hand. You get a couple of them. And you were like, wow. It hurt. He swung pretty good. When those street lights came on, you got your ass home very quickly. Now, as we grew up, there was a rule of kids were supposed to be seen, but not heard. I don't know if you've heard that before, but that's true. Okay, that is true. If you got carried away when you were with your cousins and I don't know, they were playing cards or whatever, somebody would come in the room, maybe give it to you across the ass, and I got you to pipe down pretty quick. So they were to be seen, but not heard. They definitely liked their quietness back then. Now, there was the, I don't know what you would call this, the ritual? This went 2 ways, okay? I had 2 sisters, so if I wanted revenge on my sisters, or they wanted revenge on me, and it worked both ways, you would do a crime. You know, as they say in life, don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Well, this really applies when you were growing up. If I was angry at my sisters or they were angry at me, you would then think about a crime that you could do and only you would know about. So go steal 50 cents, break something, because you knew what was coming next. So let's say you broke something, you didn't say nothing, and all of a sudden they found out. You wanted them to find out. All of a sudden, the old man would call your names. You would line up, and he would ask every one of you, who broke this? Well, everybody's going to deny it, right? So, and you know what's next? Each person had to hold out their hands, and we all took one crack across the hand. Hurt like hell. And all of a sudden, your sisters start begging, please, please, tell them the truth, please. And, of course, you have to start begging, too, or you're going to look guilty, right? So you got to look at your sister and go, oh, no, you tell the truth. Come on, come on, come on. The question would come again. Who broke it? Nobody would fess up. They get the belt again. And there's no telling how long this could go on. 10 cracks later, 5 cracks later, basically whenever the old man got fed up with trying to figure out who it was. Now, sometimes the person would admit it. And sometimes they wouldn't. So that was a form of discipline we got quite a bit. Now, then there was the setup, okay? And my sister did this to me. Literally, she would steal like $10 from Dad's wallet and stick it under your pillow in your bedroom. You didn't know it was there. The old man's pissed. He knows $10 has gone missing. He's out searching. He lifts your pillow, and there's the $10. He calls your name and says, why did you steal this? I found it underneath your pillow. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't take that. And of course your sister walks by with a smirk as she's kind of doing this peacock walks in. I got you. And sure enough, you stole $10. We're going to give you 5 across each hand. was interesting times back then with the way kids were disciplined. Now, sometimes, depending on the crime, you would literally be forced to sit in a corner on your knees. And sometimes they'd put rice on the floor and you get down on your knees on the rice with your nose up against the wall. I had that done to me a couple times. It really depended on what the crime was and what the punishment was, is what was going on. Now, you'd have to understand with discipline, there were some things that were, you just didn't want your parents knowing about. Like, for example, we'd always cut through yards, touch tag, hide and seek, whatever. And you'd always be cutting through some neighbor's yard all the time. I cut through this one neighbor's yard, but he got me. He literally grabbed me by the back of the neck when I was running by. And he was like, "What the hell are you doing in my yard?" And you're just like, you couldn't talk. I mean, you're like 9, 10 years old. And the next thing you know, he starts lifting his foot and booting you in the ass. You take 4 or 5 boots in the ass, then he lets you go and you run like hell and jump the fence. And you're like, damn, just got away from him by the skin of my ass. Now, nowadays, people will get charged for that. But back then, nobody got charged for that because you didn't go home and tell your dad. You didn't go home and tell your dad, I was in this guy's yard and I was running through his yard. You didn't say shit because the neighbor kicked the shit out of you. And now if you would have went home and told your dad, or the neighbor would have told your dad would have given it to you. So there was none of that going on. I mean, and that's for sure. But discipline was basically capital punishment, I guess you could call it, compared to the way they are with kids now. And some people would say that's horrible. I don't know. Everybody was punished the same back then, all kids. I mean, we would compare war stories, on who got caught with what. But it was quite unbelievable. There was one time when I was a kid. Oh, I had bad anger issues when I was younger. Really bad. And my sister and me had gotten into it. And she's 2 years younger than me. And I was so angry. I mean, I wanted to kill her. I was so angry. I went after her. She ran as fast as she could. I was running as fast as I could. Our parents were not home. I was positive I was going to get her. She had nowhere to go. She's mine. She ran into a trailer. Now, it was a big trailer. It was like a 32-footer, 2 wheels on each side. I mean, it was a big camping trailer. My dad worked so hard to buy that so he could use that for camping because my mother didn't want to camp in a tent no more. She wanted something more with style. We had that trailer for maybe a month. We didn't have it very long. She's locked in this trailer and I can't get her. And I am angry. I grabbed a tennis racket and I start walking around the trailer, hitting the side of it, beating on it. Not thinking about what it's doing to the trailer. My dad and mom actually pulled up in the driveway with me standing there holding the tennis racket. I was like, I'm not going to line my way into this one. My dad stopped the car, jumped out of the car. I mean, literally, he came at me running. I started running. I'm dead. I'm dead. That's it. I didn't get very far. I took like 4 steps. He had me. And I mean, I took backhands. I took him kicking me up the ass. I took the belt. I got it all. I mean, it was just horrible. And I never heard the end of it because of that trailer. Even a few years later, when I think it was 3 or 4 years, he sold the trailer. And he come in the house and he was so angry. I mean, I thought he was going to give it to me again. Even 4 years later. He was like, I had to take like a $3,000 cut because of you. Because you felt like you wanted to walk around that trailer with a tennis racket and act like Mr. Tough Guy. Well done, you little asshole. Yeah. I'll never forget that. I mean, that was fun. And I had never lived that down. I mean, It didn't matter even when I got in my 30s and 40s when my parents were alive. I mean, they'd bring it up at Christmas time. Yeah, remember that time he beat the shit out of that trailer? Oh, man. That just never went away. Some things never went away, you did. And that's what it was. So being disciplined back in those days was definitely quite different than what it is now. Did it make me a better man? I think it did. If my dad did not use the belt on me, if he did not use discipline, then I think I would have grew up to be, my tempers would have been a lot worse, I think. I mean, it definitely taught me that there's a consequence and you need to put them in check. And I think it helped me. But other people may say, oh, there could have been a better way. Well, not in those times. That's the way it was done. That's history. But you didn't have child protection or children's services or places sticking their nose in it. It didn't exist. Did we get bruised? Hell yeah. You know. Oh, the one that was probably the worst was your mother when she said, go cut me a switch. Now that was, you have to go choose your weapon that she's going to use against you. Usually you'd find a willow tree, cut a piece off a willow tree, bring it back to your mother. She would skin it, and then she would beat your ass with that willow tree. Oh, that felt like a whip. It just cut right through your pants. And it got you in line pretty quick. But there were multiple ways, multiple tortures to put us in line and make sure we did things right. So a lot of times when you were a kid, like when you were 14, when you were 12, I mean, the biggest thing you would ask yourself before something was done, because you had accidental crime, but then you had crime of, is this worth it? You know, like, because they said be home when the lights were on. So you would be like out with your friends playing and you'd be like, is it worth the punishment? That's what went through your head a lot of times. You actually said, okay, I know I'm going to get 5 cracks if I come home a half an hour late. Might be 10 cracks if I come home an hour late. Is it worth it? And that's what you would determine before going home. So did that make you tougher? Probably. But you got a little extra playtime if you're willing to take the punishment. You had to determine, is the crime worth the time? I'll catch you guys on the next one.